Well, I mean, life is basically what you make it, and it seems like you have a pretty decent life. You know, you're in a touring band, you're putting out a killer new record, which I just heard basically half of it in the car, and it's holy shit.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, man. And you just released the latest single, which you filmed a music video at a brewery.
Yes.
Pretty badass.
That is pretty fucking awesome, man.
I love that place, man. I love the place. We have a couple metal breweries in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
We have True, which I don't drink, so like I'm kind of biased. You know what I mean? Like, so True's very dark and like really like it's super metal, and it kind of reminds me of a cave, and everything like that. And it's just like, since I don't drink, to go into that dark atmosphere, it's hard for me to like communicate with people.
Yeah.
So True is not like, I think True is awesome, and I love the atmosphere. But for a guy that just is going there to just hang out with other people, it's kind of weird. Yeah. So that's why I prefer Black Sky. But yeah, man, like between True and Black Sky, we have like pretty awesome like metal hangouts downtown. Cool. I think if every city had a True and a Black Sky in them, I think the world would be a better place.
So what was the reason for choosing a brewery as opposed to some other like concert hall or something?
Black Sky is a huge supporter of the local scene here. They throw a metal fest every year. The Black Sky, like metal fest, I think Havoc and like Skinless and Pig Destroyer and Exhumed played last year.
Wow, so there's some big ass bands playing this.
Yeah. So they bring in like really good talent and like some really cool bands, and they're just really cool. They like every Sunday they have a 3 show with locals playing, and it's just a cool vibe. The pizza, they have awesome food there. They name beers after like local bands and stuff like that. It's just like a cool place, man. Like,
is there an Allegiant beer?
I was just gonna ask that.
It's kind of weird since I don't drink. I never, no, there's no Allegiant beer. I think True was talking about it, but since we don't go in, it's hard for me because I'm the one who lives down here.
Mm-hmm. And
since I don't drink, it's kind of, hard for me to like, how am I going to judge your beer?
Yeah, that is true. That really does put a little bit of a damper on the things. But look, as long as you have that, control over, what, I'm not going to drink, it's a choice that I made. No one's pressuring me to do anything otherwise. I think that's one of the keys to happiness is having self-control. It's kind of hard to, you look at an alcoholic who's like struggling with this every day and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, your life's a whole fucking wreck. Yeah. And you don't have the control that I do. Like, I don't know, does it come easy to you, like not to drink, or was it like a challenge or?
No, I just never have. I just never, I had my first drink of alcohol when I was 30. And I ended up playing a box suite and urinating in someone's backyard off of half a Smirnoff Ice, dude. Like, I was just urinating and serenading a group of people, and everybody knew me as straight edge, so a lot of people turned up to witness the disaster that was me. And I'll drink every once in a while. I just don't drink when I'm out, unless I'm on tour, because I want to avoid a DUI at all costs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's just cheaper just not to drink. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, it's just too risky. So I just don't fuck with it unless I'm on tour and I know one of the other dudes is driving.
It sounds like you got a lot of self-control.
Yeah. Not to mention, what is it, like 10 years you can't enter Canada or something if you have a DUI?
Yeah, it's we have wrestled with that plenty. Yeah, it's quite painful, especially since Canada's our biggest market. So
yeah, Canada has a surprisingly big metal scene to it.
Huge metal scene. Like,
and there's a lot of popular bands from Canada too. As far as like hard rock, I don't know a lot of metal bands. I probably do, but just not off the top of my head.
You have like Protest the Hero, who's like ginormous over there. Like, they're great. And then you have a band called Rush, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a documentary out, right?
Yeah, a couple live vids and guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? That one song that you put up on your YouTube page sounds a lot like them. I think you might have ripped it off. I'm not too sure, though.
It's a very strong possibility.
So let's just go into that. You covered Subdivisions.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason for covering Subdivisions other than stealing my great idea?
We covered 2 songs. We actually did Animate and Subdivisions.
Oh, okay, wow.
And they were just supposed to be bonus tracks. One was supposed to be for Europe and one was supposed to be for Japan. And neither of them ended up being bonus tracks. Animate will release sometime, I think next year or something like that. I want to try to release our EP. I just want to see if I can give that to Metal Blade and say, hey, just put out the EP and tag Animate onto it. Something as special for people.
Now, is that a Rush song?
Animate? Yeah, it's off our Counterparts.
I've never heard it.
Yeah.
Call me a horrible Rush fan, but yeah, I've never.
You're not
heard
a Rush fan, Dan.
I'm a Neil Peart fan.
In truth, a lot of people don't know anything besides what's on, Moving Pictures.
Moving Pictures and the greatest hits.
Yeah. And Animate's actually Neil Peart's favorite song that they ever played. So.
Wow, and you call yourself a Neil Peart fan, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan of a lot of things. I don't just, focus on him, but.
Yeah.
That's true. And they called it quits, right? Or they're like...
No, he did.
He officially did?
Neil Peart retired. I don't know if they officially did afterwards, but he was the first to retire.
Yeah, because I know they did...
I think it's just they retired from touring because he just can't, playing all that crazy stuff for so many years. I'm sure carpal tunnel and tendonitis, and he just can't do it repetitive every night. But I'm sure they could still make records and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Definitely, I hope so.
Yeah.
He's done isn't every show 2.5 hours? There's 2 different sets of a Rush concert. I've never seen it live, unfortunately.
I've never been able. It's always so expensive. I can never afford to go.
Here.
It's like $100, and I'm like, dude, that's I can't do that. I can't afford to. If the Beatles, half of them got resurrected, I still couldn't afford that. It's no way. I can't.
Then
spend
again,
that
they're coming out with the hologram now. You saw the Dio hologram, right?
I did. I was very stoked on it, actually.
Yeah, this could actually lead into stuff. Obviously they did Nate Dogg back then. They did Tupac at Coachella. I think that started it all. But this is the first rock god that actually they did the hologram for.
Yeah.
And it actually came out perfectly. They had moves down for him. The vocals obviously were pre-recorded.
Right.
But but honestly, I think this could actually lead into something pretty crazy sooner than later.
Yeah, hopefully that brings the price down.
Yeah, make it cheaper so we can.
Or it's going to go higher. It costs a lot to get these lasers to whatever it is.
Absolutely, but then again, this would literally end the debate of, okay, should Sublime with Rome be a band? Should Alice in Chains have moved on?
Yeah.
Now you could just be like, okay, you know what? Replacement, stay at home. We're gonna bring out, a hologram Lane Staley. We're gonna bring out a hologram Bradley Nowell.
Right.
Holy crap.
Right.
What were you gonna say? You go first.
It's kind of weird. I actually like it when bands continue on. I really like it. I know, for Slayer, people give them such shit to go on without Hanneman.
Yeah.
And I was rooting for Carey hard, because everybody was against him, and I was like, dude, the guy's been in Slayer for 30 years. I think he knows it. You know what I mean? I'm like, we all love Hanneman. That has nothing to do with this, but you can't just I don't know, man, to say your career's over because some other guy
left. Yeah.
No, he died.
Yeah. Because he died. That hurts, and I was so pro him continuing on. Now, now they're saying, or what is it? Tom saying he might want to stop, and he's still alive. To have that conversation, go, dude, I think we should stop. I think that's a different conversation, but to just I don't know. I went through the same thing when our previous guitar player quit. I had a whole bunch of people telling me I was done. And I was just like, man, I wrote half the music anyway. I gotta write another half? Whatever. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So I'm a strong supporter of the underdog.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, do you really think that he would have wanted the band to stop just because he passed away? If that was me personally, I'd be like, I want this to continue.
Yeah, hell no. He's the one who was it's like, you should get Gary, So yeah. And Gary fits perfectly, and he's got the cred. So,
absolutely. And now you have the former drummer of Slayer, Dave Lombardo. He's actually drumming for the Misfits.
oh, see, I thought he was drumming for Suicidal.
He left Suicidal, I think, in midsummer, I think, maybe like a month or two ago. And then they just announced him for the Misfits reunion shows.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
That's crazy.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Talk about a different style of music.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not
there's so
really.
much punk in Slayer anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It all like blends together.
yeah, more or less. But like, it's just like, well, let's turn this around to Allegion. There are so many different parts happening in your songs
And
that
styles.
yeah, absolutely. Like I heard the new album, which is coming out September 23rd, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the album title.
Oh,
I think
Proponent
because we
for
couldn't
Sentience.
pronounce it.
I'm sorry, what was that, Greg?
A Proponent for Sentience.
Yes, Proponent for Sentience. And there was one song which you just released as a single where you had the Spanish flamenco guitar going.
Yes.
Next thing you know, like, boom, you have the straight up, fast, hard, fast ass paced metal. And the next thing you know, like, it's like, oh yeah, I remember you had the acoustic guitar in there. And then it stops for about maybe 5 seconds. And then you go into like 5 more minutes of just like a flamenco style guitar playing. The drums like kick into. I'm like, holy shit. This is like behind this. I'm sorry. What the fuck is that? Between the Buried and Me. Their Alaska
You're going to say
album.
Behind the Barricade.
I was about to say that. It was just like, that album, but they took like more chances. And that's exactly what I heard from this new album by Allegion.
I mean, Gray Matter. It was actually it's funny that whole song and how it came about because we had came home. We did a tour with we did the 10th anniversary of Celebration of Guilt, that Arsis album,
Yeah.
and it was with Arsis and Ex Mortis. And I mean, talk about two bands that I mean are amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
to be sandwiched between those two bands, I was looking forward to that tour more than any other tour ever. And we got our asses handed to us every night. Like, it was bad. Like, we played like shit, and I was devastated. I was so embarrassed by the end of that tour. We had some shit going on, in the band too, but like, I remember at the end of the tour, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I think I might be done. And we came home, and I didn't do anything. I just played classical guitar for about like 2 months, something like that. I didn't want anything to do with metal. I just like, dude, I just suck at this. I just, maybe Allegion's just not meant to be like, go on. Maybe we're just done. Maybe we're just not that good. And so I was just writing. I was writing Gray Matter when Chris Adler hit me up, and he's like, dude, we went to the same high school. And it was so strange, but like, turned out Chris Adler was a big fan, and I was just like,
Wow. That's a compliment.
That's huge. You know what I mean? Like, when he hit me up, I was like, well, it can't be that Chris Adler. No way. And it turned out to be actually, so like, he really kicked my ass like into gear, and it was like very surreal because I was on the fence about like continuing. And then, like, he put me up for the Megadeth gig, and I just, like, it was just, if I was, like, mentally in the right place, I think I would have been I would have been in a way better position to deal with his praise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was so low. I was like, when he did that, I was like, dude, I don't think I'm good enough to play in Megadeth, like, straight up. Like, I just don't know. Like, the worst thing you can ever say.
Yeah.
Like, ever, like, and Megadeth's my favorite band, so like, I threw up like when he told me, no, and yeah, I really kicked my ass, man. Like, I owe lots of Chris, man. The guy's just super awesome. I mean, he'll never know. I don't think he'll ever quite know how much he helped me get my shit together and to move on and like to keep doing this. So I mean, I wrote Gray Matter when I was like in the darkest place for me being, continuing on in Allegion. And then I turned in that song and the dudes liked it. And I really didn't think it was going to be an Allegion song because it seemed so different.
Yeah, it was very different.
But worked out. So
Yeah.
sorry, that was a very long-winded story. I don't know. You're gonna have to rein me in. I just fucking talk.
It
guys.
doesn't matter. We've had way
we've had
way
worse.
worse on
Oh,
this
okay.
show.
But no, I wouldn't say worse. I would say it's good. It's just
Yeah, I mean, like we would never know about this unless you told us.
Oh, okay.
You know, we
yeah,
give-
stream of consciousness bullshit. Rein me
be
in.
quiet, Greg. You're giving away way too many secrets.
Oh.
Now you and Adler are best friends. Good to know.
It's so funny. It's so funny to hear you say that because I'm thinking in my head. All right, so we have Justin Bieber here that's continuing, and a guy that plays sick, I guess you could say melodic death metal, is thinking he's not good enough and wants to quit. I'm like, it's crazy, But even if you say you're not good enough to play in Megadeth, you're not playing crappy music. You're playing technical, shit. So you're at least good enough to play half the pop, like 105% of the pop music out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like I wasn't gonna quit guitar. I mean, I had no other skills. I was just gonna like maybe just go and try to start like a classical career and just go like put my tux back on and just get in the performance halls and just diddle about, go play on the street, do something, to make ends meet. But so
Nice. How long have you been playing classical guitar for? Your whole life, or?
Since 1991.
I was one.
Good for you, Dan.
Yeah.
So for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of how I was brought up. Always loved the electric. Like I practiced electrical way more, and then it was like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Well, I want to be in a band. Yeah, well, good luck to you. Pick one, classical or jazz, if you're going to go the guitar route. And I was already had the classical thing going, so I was like, I'll just, classical, great, and let's go for it. So, yeah. 7 years later, got a degree. Yeah.
Hey, at least you got that degree.
Yeah.
What was the degree in?
Stupid hard. Classical guitar performance.
Okay.
So actually, that's how I got. That's how I ended up in Allegaeon. I moved here to get my master's at the Denver Lamont School of Music at DU in Denver, and they needed a guitar player. They were Allegiance at the time, so I was like, dude, I want to play in a metal band. This classical stuff's awesome. I like it, but I wanna go like have fun and headbang for once.
Yeah, and did you think that you would one day be bringing those classical elements into that band?
No, not at all. I mean, when we did the first record, I did the Vol 666, and that was really our original bass player. His name was Aaron Donahoe. He's like, you ever gonna use that shit? And you got him like, yeah, if you guys are open to it, I'd love to. And then I went home and wrote that and tacked it onto the beginning of or the end of Biomech, the first one, and yeah, so just did the classical guitar solo on every record and started to sprinkle them throughout some of the other songs. Yeah.
Jeez, I mean, it works so flawlessly too. I mean, a lot of bands just they give it a shot. They're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try this, but they're not confident with it. Like you could hear the little mistakes here and there, and then I heard yours, and I'm like, oh my god, it's flawless.
Oh, multiple takes.
Well, yes.
They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
But like you knew what you were doing though.
Well, yeah, and it was actually funny. The first time I did it, they were just, Dave. The first time I did it, I was in the studio, was with Dave Otero, and it was just like, he never heard me play, so he's just like, yeah, you realize you have to do this in one take, right? Like you can't splice this, and I was like, okay. And then, yeah, so of all 666 on that, it was done in one take, no splicing, no editing, nothing. And then later he told me, he was like, yeah, I just thought you were going to suck. That's why I said that. And because, just like string pressure and volume and everything like that, he just didn't think I was going to have the control. Yeah. So after I found that out when we were doing Form Shifter, and I had a mental breakdown in the studio because Balls for the Legions is like so long, and it was just so complicated that just to do it perfect in one take, it just wasn't. It like to get it under a microscope perfect, that when you listen back to it, like you hear shit that you didn't hear when you were playing, like nail noise, and just like if your nail isn't perfectly filed, you're gonna get this like string sound, and Oh my God. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And everybody left the studio that day when I was tracking because I was fucking furious. And it was bad. So the next day, I was the only one in the studio. Everybody like fucked off. They didn't want to be around me when I did it. And the guy was like, "Yeah, let's just do it in sections, man." I'm like, "Well, I heard that's impossible. So but let's try it." And then when he did it, it was like, "Oh, hey now, I was lied to. Dave Otero, he fibbed to me." And I let him know about it to this day.
But did that end up helping you out in the end, or did it like kind of hurt you? Like still have that in the back of your mind?
No, I mean it's great. I mean it was a learning thing. You know, it's like now that I know I can do that, it's way less pressure, so I play better, and also it's gonna let me focus on each section, so I can be more musical with it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's easier to go back because I mean I improv a lot of the dynamics and colors when I do it. So when I go back and listen to it, I'll like listen to that take and I'm like, oh man, that color there, that's awesome. So you start assembling it like that. And so then at the end, you're just like, okay, and then I can learn that and then replicate it every time. You know what I mean? So yeah. It is such an amazing tool now. You know what I mean? And that like the blessing of technology, it's really helped with composition because I can, you know, piece takes together. You know what I mean? Like I'll play the song like 8 times and then just go through each little section on each take and just move them in there. And now that now that we know I have the control and the dynamic contrast with my nails and everything like that, you can really just create the ultimate take out of 8. And then when you hear that, you're just like, that's the way it should sound. And it's almost like part of the composition process. Because you compose it, you get all the notes right, but that doesn't mean you get the like subtleties and the pushing and pulling that you do in classical music and the colors and the tonal characteristics. That's really done as an improv type thing when you play through it. And then when you assemble it, then you're like, man, that's it. That's what it should be. So,
wow. Just a long process, and you know you're hoping it pays off. That's insane. So you said earlier that you have a tour coming up. Is it a whole U.S. tour or?
It's not whole U.S. It's actually it's really strange, and I don't know why this is. So we head out next Wednesday. We leave, or I leave here to go in rehearsals for a day, and then we leave right after that, and we go meet up with the Cavaliers doing 20th anniversary of Roots.
Oh yeah, wow.
And then we stay on that tour until the 22nd, I believe. And then we haul to LA to do Ozfest with Black Sabbath and Opeth and Megadeth. And yeah, like huge for us, like probably the biggest thing we've ever done. So, and then we don't really know what's going on after that. We have like a couple weeks off before we meet back up with the Cavaliers in Canada. With Black Dahlia Murder, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I love Black Dahlia. So, and my friend Brandon now plays guitar with them. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just gonna
have the connection now.
I'm gonna hug the crap out of him. I love that guy so much, and like best vibrato on the planet, Brandon Ellis. There, wow. I mean, just man, amazing.
So what do you do with when you have a big stretch of time off?
Yeah, normally that sucks because you're just kind of sitting around, and if you're not making money, if you're not playing every day, you're losing money.
Yeah.
So we really had to decide what we're doing. I think Riley, who lives in Santa Cruz, California, he is going to, from Ozfest, he's taking off, and he's going to go home, and he's going to try to work for like a week before he flies into St. Louis, where he's going to meet us, and then we'll go up to Ottawa. The rest of us are going to go back to our drummer's farm in Illinois, and it's pumpkin season, and he's a pumpkin farmer. So we're just going to pick pumpkins and get them all shipped and packed up, and basically be farmers for like a week.
That's badass.
Yeah, I was kind of like, man, I don't know what we're going to do. It's like to come home to try to fill my schedule with students with a week's notice.
Yeah,
is really hard. Like I don't know. I think it would cost me more money than to do that than I would if I just hung out. So, I mean, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go work on a farm and film us being dumb. You know, he's a farmer. The rest of us are not farmers. Like, there's no internet at his house. Like, we're going to freak out. Like, for a week, what are we going to do? Like, do you even have power here?
Are you Amish?
Yeah. Like, dude, Brandon, man, he's such a riot. I mean, like, dude, he'll be sitting there, like, running a tractor, right? And you expect, like, this dude in, like, overalls, like, Oshkosh Bagosh to, like, jump out. And he, like, jumps out with a Black Dahlia Murder shirt on, and, like he'll be, like, windmilling as he's, like, plowing fields and shit. Man, he's just a really neat dude. Like, I can't I love everybody in our band for, like, different reasons. And, like, Brandon's just one of those guys, man. It's just, like, he is so funny. He's so quiet. We call him a serial killer because he never talks.
No,
like,
is that
ever.
right? Okay.
He's, like, super quiet and just great drummer, like, amazing drummer, and just, like, such a unique personality that you just like the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to know that, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna go, like, I don't know, blow up explosives with guns in the middle of a field and harvest pumpkins. That's what he does.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what quiet people do.
Yes.
Like, really, like, so different from the rest of us who live in a city, you know?
Oh,
So-
yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be neat, man. It'll be really cool. Great
Exactly.
experience.
You get that little escape from all reality.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, no internet, no nothing. I think we're just gonna film the shit out of it and make a video, like Allegion as farmers, and, you know, who knows? It'll be funny.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to try to sell merch to a pumpkin or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, just dress up a pumpkin in your merch.
Yeah, put it on a
That's great.
scarecrow or something.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'd be awesome. All right. So unfortunately, Zoom only gives us about 40 minutes, and we have about a minute 34 left. So might as well let's go into some of the plugs. So you could catch you guys out on tour with the Cavalieras doing Roots in its entirety. Then you're going over to Ozfest, not the Not Fest, the day before Not Fest. Then you're off a week going up to Canada to meet up with the Cavalieras again. And you have the new CD dropping out September 23rd. And I've heard it. It's fucking phenomenal. Any other plugs you want to throw out there, Greg?
Hey, man, just, you know, thanks to everybody that's, like, paid attention. Thanks to you guys for taking the time to help us promote, and I really appreciate it, man.
Dude, that's
sure.
awesome. So before we go, we usually let our guests pick a song that, you know, we play out from this interview. Is there anything in mind that you want us to play?
From anything?
Anything.
Let's do Elimination by Overkill.
Okay. Done.
Let's
Oh,
do
yeah.
it.
Screw it. Greg, thank you so much, man. It's really been a
thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you guys. Really
Oh, yeah.
appreciate
Problem.
it.
Have a good night.
See you later, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye, guys.
Later.